Hey guys, Dave from Nerdarchy, 4 nerds by nerds, hang out with this nerd.
Nerdarchy Ted.
In this GM 911, we help this DM get sci-fi into his fantasy.
Jump down the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy the newsletter, get weekly gaming tips, as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
So once again, you can find this GM 911 in the description. Of course, if you have a GM 911 of your own, send it to nerdarchy@gmail.com. Just put GM 911 in the subject line.
All right, so we have an email from Alex, and he wants to know, how do you go about mixing fantasy and, for all intents and purposes, sci-fi into a D&D game? He's like thinking, well, what happens when Eberron meets Dark Sun, but with less sand?
Ick. Sand gets everywhere. His words, not mine, but I absolutely agree. There's a lot of resources out to help with this as well. But he asked like several questions. One is, do I just reskin things? A longbow is a laser gun. I just changed the damage type. You could absolutely do that if you wanted to. But we're getting further and further into 5th edition Dungeons and Dragons, and we have the OGL. So there's a lot of products coming out. So I don't really feel like you really need to do this if you don't want to. One, you have the back of the DMG. There's a section, and you can go there, and that gives you stats for stuff. You mentioned like being worried about doing too much damage and power levels. I wouldn't. I would just make greater threats. They do more damage. Well, you take that into account. Monsters can have more hit points, in the sense of, if you guys know, I'm not like just add more hit points to a monster. I would just use cooler monsters. So that is definitely a possibility. There was also a Unearthed Arcana Modern, which not only did it introduce, some of these concepts, but different classes and stuff that you could put right in your game. So there are the first two places I would stop.
So he's talking about using lasers, cannons, teleporters, and people just view them as magic items. Teleporting already exists. Teleportation circles already exist. You want teleporters? Okay, well then there are set locations that are teleportation circles, and they go to either a specific location, i.e. that's marked by another circle, or, to a selection from other circles that are out there. So you've got a wilderness that's, fraught with peril, and you want to just teleport from town A to town B, and there's circles there that you can do, have them cost money.
Or matter transmuters as the case may be. Or it could even be a device that just teleports. It all just depends really what you want in your game, what level the characters are, and how soon you want them to have access to that stuff. You're the DM, you have the ultimate say. There's some other resources they could do as well, because one, it's not out yet, but it is a post-apocalyptic I don't want to say setting, because they're not really settings. They're more of like expansions. And that is by Scrivered.com. You can check that out. This one is not out yet, but it's Hellscapes. And it gives you different ways to actually change things up even more so. Like, instead of having elves, dwarves, and humans, you have humans that come from different tribes, so they might have different traits and stuff like that. It could work in addition to other races, or it could replace them, depending on what kind of game you want it. But it also adds a bunch of gear and equipment and stuff like that you would find in a more modern setting, and gives you different ideas how to do it, as well as different actual character classes as well that would tie into it. Same company also puts out, and you can pick this up, I believe, on RPG Drive-Thru or Drive-Thru RPG, as the case may be. And that is Hyperlanes. And that's going to be all your futuristic stuff. That is also going to be basically less magic. They kind of pull magic out and replace it with something else. And then you have like different classes that you can use. So you could take bits and pieces of that if you wanted to. Then there is Espergenesis. It's another science fiction game. And this one is a little more science fantasy, where Hyperlanes is a little more science fiction. And that is going to be like, that's a full like campaign setting and worlds, and it's going to give you like different kinds of races you can use, and different tech, spaceships, and all that stuff. That one, I don't know if there's new classes or not. I don't remember, but it's going to give you some things to play with. One of the cool things that the Hyperlanes does it has like a section on alien species, except for it's not play this alien species. It's like, here's the toolbox to build the alien species you want. And it like goes about telling you how to do that.
Very cool.
So, there's a bunch of resources that you can already access that are kind of out there.
So this, that is a lot, and thank you, Dave, for going through that entire list.
Well, not only that too, like both of those guys did live chats for us. So and it's just this previous week, so you can go and check those out as well, and hear about those settings and see if any of them like would fit with what you're trying to do.
But failing that, you don't want to, go, we don't want to go grab those products or, while you're waiting them to get delivered. The idea of reskinning things is pretty easy. You talked about limiting ammunition. That's definitely a way to do it. But you have cantrips that have scalable effects, and there's nothing to say that you couldn't put a ray of frost and a firebolt as the ammunition or as the gun damage type. Okay, so I've got this frost rifle and it shoots a ray of frost, and depending upon the grade of it, determines what tiered effect is that. 1, 2, 3, 4, D8.
Eldritch Blasts could be like almost like a semi-automatic weapon, because it's like a die 10, but as you go up, you get more bolts. Well, why couldn't you? Like, you're right. You could totally reskin anything, and cantrips are such a great place because they do scale, and it's already something that's in the game, and it's kind of at will.
Right. So that definitely denotes the set power level. And okay, well, all right, this dude really likes using the ray of frost gun, call it whatever you want. And when they get to the next level, then he can find an upgrade, or he can get the extended something or other that allows him to do the more damage. So you've got this thing that can level up, and you might feel that, oh well, my rogue is using the ray of frost and
sneak attacking.
Well, I wouldn't go there, because sneak attack does say that you got to use a weapon.
It is a weapon at this point. You made it one. So like, I had an idea on that, and it also for the fighter, it is going to make those things. It does scale your power level. That's okay. Maybe you have certain kinds of armors and stuff now that your spellcasters are going to just strap right on to kind of like level the playing field for them a little bit.
Well, I was more concerned not about leveling up the damage that your other classes are doing, but about outshining the spellcasters. So you'd have to find a way to balance that.
Yeah, well, they're still not casting fireball and stuff like that. Like, that's where you're going to have to be careful, and especially if it's at will. I mean, you could definitely do something like with power cells that need to recharge, and they can use a lot of the properties of the magic items. But then again, that being said, in our own game, we found that like some of the spellcasters were better off throwing a grenade, so they could still do that kind of stuff. Or maybe things start happening like, oh, I never anticipated the mage. Or the wizard or the sorcerer mage handing a grenade over there, but so like there can be unintended consequences. But again, like, it's a game. If you're having fun, whatever, does it really matter? Like, you can always end that campaign and start a new one if it's not working. You can tweak it as you go. Be like, guys, this is kind of like we're going to be in playtest mode until I say we're not. So like, we may change things.
So I would totally envision your missile launcher, your RPG as a fireball.
Yeah, and you could totally model that stuff. And like, the biggest thing is I would use like power cells, either ones that recharge or ones that don't. So it's like, okay, you get to use this, but once it's gone, it's gone.
Yeah, that's the limit of the ammunition. And something that does have that, you only get so many uses until you buy a new battery pack or whatever.
So when your rogue sneak attacking with fireball. Well, you can already do it with a ballista or a catapult.
It's true.
So the question is, guys, why don't you help Alex out in the comments below and let him know how you would do it? What are your suggestions? While you're at it, like, share, and subscribe.
You can follow us over on Instagram.
So until next time,
stay nerdy.